Speak, O speechless form, the feeling you contain. In thy movement and gestures, every fiber of your veins. Your coldness of blood and warmth produce mighty torrents and waves, thus toss the life's boat from the abyss to the graves. I wish to hold my tears from what you convey, lest I become one as still as you stay. I feel art and aesthetics is one of the biggest force because there are no contradictions. All the contradiction can be embraced in the world of arts. So I feel that art can be a big force in the unification of the world because you see in art there is a humanism to my mind. Every artist has to be first a humanist. As a humanist, you cannot do any injustice. You have to have a fair play. You have to have honesty and integrity. These are the forces that make the world a much happier place to live in. Play is the first part of any creative activity. When you are working with the clay or any medium, of course every medium has its own limitation. While working with the medium, you find that there are many things that come into the surface and you begin to relate to yourself. Certain feelings and emotion within you get translated through your senses into the form, which one never knows what is the way, how this gets synchronized from within you to the form itself that comes out on the surface. How much relationship you can create between what you feel like doing and how much gets done. And when you have created the play activity within you with your senses playing on a medium, you begin to find the unconscious element translated into the forms.
Statistically speaking, he has no style, as such, which can be labeled as expressionistic or cubistic or surrealistic or anything else. His primary concern is just to depict that theme forcefully, and whatever the style, just comes out spontaneously, that goes with the object. Every form, twisted in the sort of space which we can see it, it has a definite meaning by itself. For instance, he tried to show that if we want to give a curve in this sculpture, it is not simply a curve, but this curve has been twisted forcefully just to give a new meaning. That meaning which often, you experience when you are pushed by somebody else, then you feel, in a sense of agony. So when he uses the material, he also uses and twists the material in the same way, and that is why I feel that when he works, he works in a state of ecstasy.
The ecstasy of my work is the play, the karma. As I work, as I play, I feel that I am bringing my feelings and emotion into the play.
I feel that there's an undernote of loving, affection, affectionate acceptance of everything, within which he tries to pour forth energies of love, of tenderness. I think he's a very is imbued somehow or the other from a great capacity for love, which may be lost in the West when he was there, but certainly is the inner core of his development as an artist.
Well, I should say that none of the sculptors ever inspired me. After I had created a lot of work, I felt that, people have said time and again that, well, there can be a little bit of similarity or relationship to this and that, A or B or C. But all said and done, I never knew those names and I never met them. I never felt like meeting them. I felt like shutting myself up with my own responsibility of creation, and I created what I felt like doing. In celebration of International Year of the Child, I was asked to conduct an art workshop for children from Peru to Denmark, from Tokyo to Greece, and so on and so forth. There were quite few children who were assembled in Paris, and it was a very exhilarating experience. We didn't know them, they didn't know us. They couldn't converse with each other because they ranged from the 4 to 10 years age. But we had to make them work together, and they brought out the best of creative work in harmony with each other. That is where I feel that art can be of a great sustaining force, because it can bring unity and integrity and solidarity amongst the nations. So all these children worked together and brought it out. I was born in Pakistan, Camelpur, a small town where I belonged to the 2% of the minority population. I was born a Hindu. I call myself a human being now. I must say that life amongst 7 children, being midway between the 3 above me and below me, was a little difficult. The elder never looked after me, the younger never listened to me, and I think I was a lonely child as I recall back. Loneliness was my companion, and I used to have recollections of my days. I used to sit around by myself, see clouds, see shapes, see forms, even sketch on the sand or make little clay doodlings. That gave me the first impact of exposure to creativity. That was my first play with forms. But slowly and gradually, this companionship grew into friendship. And that friendship lasted long enough till now that I create these forms and shapes and images which I exhibit all over the world. I was herded to many professions. I was asked to be an engineer, I was asked to take to law, I was asked to do metallurgy, and I dabbled in most of these professions time and again, but slowly and gradually I did what I wanted to and became an artist. I know that I met a lot of oppositions while taking to that, but that opposition I knew was coming, and I could take to it, I could face it. When I left my hearth and home after the partition, I was fully traumatized with the anguish and suffering in my heart. I saw the horrors of partition. I saw the millions uprooted. I saw people completely without food and shelter moving to the other side of the borders. The floating cries of anguish and suffering in the abyss of life of the nation are a constant reminder of a leaf of page of history, that He is one. Ishwar Allah Tere Naam. The two sides of leaf are inseparable. They are to be united. They are one. They remain as one. They must remain as one. That is what the history is. When I came to America, I felt that I have to start afresh too. I got a studio, I started working, had few exhibitions. But my mind was still in my own country. I went back. I started with a very humble job, a job of paying me about $30 a month in a school situation. But slowly, I started work as a consultant in community development, trying to revive folk arts in the villages of India. That was a very exhilarating experience of mine. When we brought art to the villages, we asked people to make their own murals on their mud walls and dwellings. When they made the murals on the mud walls and dwellings, they had to clean the surrounding themselves. That was not asked, but they felt like cleaning. I mean, if a person is wedded to art, I felt that he was more clean, more neat, more honest, more dedicated. All the virtues, other virtues came into play. Well, main grappling is that how much relationship there is between you and the work, whether all that you have within you is within the work. Because after all, you see, what you have in terms of a quantum of expression within the mind, because the feelings are tremendously big, or the mind has charged with emotions. You feel like embracing the whole world. You cannot, while your arms are limited even to embrace even one person or two, but you want to embrace it. That very feeling sometimes is not possible to translate fully. So this is what is really something very mysterious. I must say there were a couple of critics that damaged me for years. I would shed tears how they would treat me. Till I had the first exhibition in Europe. And when I was invited to the Paris Museum of Modern Art, which was the greatest museum of the world, where even Picasso and others were respected, and there when I felt that my work was understood and the big halls of a big museum were open for my work, one-man show, I felt that my work was worthy enough to be reviewed by people. The responsiveness of the society is very essential. Let me say that while the ego of a person, unless, and especially of a creative artist, unless it is fully satisfied, it cannot lead to further creative work. If it is completely annihilated, well, it does not give much of a pleasure. You know, unless success comes to you, you don't feel. Otherwise, you might call your work a freak. You might call your work as if it's good for nothing. Slowly and gradually, if one pushes and pushes himself to the extent that one is understood, then everybody catches on. I mean, like a herd of cattle, everybody says, oh, he's selling well, I must buy also. Well, I returned to the West many times for exhibitions and for work, and it has been a very exhilarating experience because here I feel that coming from the East and intermingling of culture, bringing the culture of the East to the West and going back with my experiences also enriches me. I created the sculpture on Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. They were great people, and I felt how to depict love and nonviolence into form. I created that feeling of love, of nonviolence, through rhythmical form. Well, the artist of the East works with the spirit. He's more contemplative. He goes deep inside himself. He likes to meditate. He likes to see things as they emerge from within, while the artist in the Occidental culture in the West wishes more to deal with the forms. He will hold two forms together and call it a sculpture. Well, of course, that may have a meaning, may have an aesthetics, but it will not be a sculpture which could be full of emotions. So the artist of the East brings out the feelings and forms and emotions in a creative form in a much simpler way because he's so wedded to the feelings, he's so wedded to the form and bringing the intermingling of the form to the emotions. One very simple fact of Indian tradition is continuity. We believe in the continuity of life. We believe in the rhythm of life. Whatever you may say, my work has certain rhythmical influences, whether it's purely aesthetical or whether it is humanistic or whether it has some emotional connotations, because that rhythm is a part of the heritage I have inherited. I am not concerned with anything else, with anything which is angular. I am concerned with something which is continuous. And rhythm is a part of continuity, which is a part of our heritage. Well, in music I feel the same because music comes to you with unseen waves to the auditory senses. I feel in the same way you can produce the musical notes in the form which can come to you in the visual senses. And I have been experimenting with these forms, bringing forth as much as possible the rhythm of forms, the symphonic effects, the elating effects and so on and so forth. I feel that art itself can bring music even to the eyes and the mind. There is certainly a metaphysical in the creative process because some spirit has to take charge of it, and the spirit that is within you is the unconscious element. It slowly and gradually emerges. It is through the play activity that it emerges, it comes forth. The craft comes forth to the extent that, well, you have to hold form. You have to hold material. You have to obey a certain sense of gravity. You have to see that, well, the form exists. It stands. It stands on its own feet. Well, one never knows where is heaven or where is hell. The only thing what one feels is the satisfaction to live. for the moment. And that satisfaction to live is to live a good, honest life and living and be involved with work. Karma is the only way to go to heaven, and I feel very strongly about it. I found that bronze is the best wholesome medium in which you can find that all the effects can be produced, even malleability of the metal can produce wonderful effects. You can get wonderful colors, and then it's an age-old medium which is a permanent medium. I think to an extent bronze is a medium which can take in a very strong way the forms, and the forms will never change in entirety or in proportions. The form will stay stable, which cannot stay stable in a medium like clay or plaster. I feel my work has a consciousness of history. I feel that there is some permanency about work, that even after thousands of years when they are dug, they will still be there. They are all bronzes. They have to be there, even if they have to survive the catastrophe of war and of nuclear blast or whatever it may come.
15 in the morning found a 400-pound bomb with a destructive force of 20,000 tons of TNT mushrooming up over the stunned enemy city. To the frightened inhabitants, the end of the world had come. 90,000 buildings had been completely destroyed. The crippling blast area had reached out its deadly fingers to a distance of 4 miles from the center of the detonation. And the victims of a new disease, radiation sickness.
If we speak about North, South, and Third World and what have you, then I also feel that Amar Nath is Sehgal is, and at another point for him in my eyes, he is not only an artist for the sake of art and the messages of art, but he is in a way a politician, as he seems to me to be deep-rooted in the old cultural traditions of his own country. I mean, fighting for or seeking for more humanity is always seeking for more democracy in society, in running a state, principles of order, or whatever is necessary to make life of men suitable.
My ambition in life is pure and simple, to be creative, to bring forth my creative work as simply as possible to humanity and bring humanism to the fore. Judgment is for the society. I am nobody, I am only to bring my work. First is my own admiration to myself, whether I have done the right work. It is for the humanity, it is for the society to judge how they feel about it.